Yesterday, during a distribution of food, 31 people died. Sources from Palestine say that Israeli tanks fired on them. The Israel Defense Forces deny this, but the BBC reports that at least one medical facility, the Nasser Hospital, received a large number of casualties, with a doctor telling the BBC that many had bullet wounds. This would not be the first time that the IDF fired on Palestinian civilians, so what is going on? Let's turn back to the October 7th, 2023 attack of Hamas on Israel. This was far from the start of the conflict, but for now we will start there. Hamas took 251 people hostage and killed roughly 1,200. If you're not familiar, Hamas is basically the political party that has taken over Palestine. At this point, Hamas still has 59 of those original 251 hostages in captivity, unfortunately, many of whom are believed to be dead at this point. This is horrible, and I hope and pray for the safe and speedy return of those hostages to their families. And I think we can recognize that Hamas is responsible for captivity, not the civilians of Palestine. Here in America, we can definitely understand that sometimes the person we vote for does not win. If you voted for Donald Trump, you probably disagreed with many things that Joe Biden did in his term. Would it be fair to punish you for those things? Of course not. If you voted for Kamala Harris this time around, you might disagree with a lot of the things that the current administration is doing in our country. Would it be fair to punish you for those things? Of course not. It's ridiculous to think that it is fair for Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli military to punish the civilians of Palestine for the things that Hamas has done. As a reminder, punishing everybody for the acts of one or a few people, also known as collective punishment, is considered a war crime by the Geneva Convention. Netanyahu and the Israeli military, the Israel Defense Forces, are not utilizing measured punishment either. They're bombing civilians, including children. They're starving the entire population of Gaza to death by refusing to allow aid inside of Gaza. There's tons of food outside the border of Gaza that Israel will not allow in. In exchange for the 251 hostages and 1,200 deaths caused by Hamas on October 7, 2023, Israel, the Israeli military, has now killed over 54,000 people that we know of. Some areas are impossible to access to get death counts due to the destruction of Gaza's infrastructure by bombings. So the number is quite possibly a lot higher than 54,000. The destruction of land and life has been funded in large part by the United States. The United States gives a lot of money to Israel, and we have since Israel's founding as a nation in 1948. Most of that money is given in the form of military aid. That means that my tax dollars are being used to kill innocent people, including children. And that makes me sick. And it should make you sick too. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, the United States has provisionally agreed via a memorandum of understanding to provide Israel with $3.8 billion per year through the year 2028. So we have budgeted to spend more of the American economy on the death of innocent people over the next few years. I'm sure you could think of a few things that you would rather we spend that money on. I want to be clear. This is not just the fault of our current administration. Joe Biden's administration is responsible for this as well. He was the one in office in 2023. He continued this financial and military support of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli military and encouraged them to attack the people of Gaza, and I will never forgive him for that. So now we're in this mess where innocent Palestinian civilians are being shot, starved, orphaned, and injured. In fact, the UN reports that Gaza has the largest population of child amputees in modern history. It's clear that to Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, this is not about releasing the remaining hostages that Hamas has. There are better ways to do that. Hamas has offered to release them in exchange for a ceasefire, and Israel has refused. This is about wiping out an entire people group and occupying their land. So please speak up about this. Tell everybody you know, share this video and videos from people in Gaza who are begging for their voices to be heard. Donate to their families. In the comments of this video, I will share resources for where to find ways to donate to these families. Call your senators and demand that they support Senate Resolution 224, which calls for the urgent delivery of aid to Gaza. Call all of your elected officials and ask them to pressure the Trump administration to negotiate a ceasefire deal now. What is happening is unforgivable. We need to do everything we can to bring it to an end and preserve Palestinian life, land, and culture while we still can.